Hello everybody and welcome to the Artisan of Glimmith. This is a new game by Lunarch Studios, the developers of Prismata and Islands of Insight. And they have recently unveiled this puzzle game. Right now this is the demo. And today is the 31st of December 2025 and I'm gonna give this a shot. Let's see what this game's about. I've changed the resolution to 2K, lowered the music quite a bit. I need it to be almost at the minimum on the slider for it to not be too loud, and honestly it's still maybe a little too loud. It's quite funny. This is like the logarithmic decibel scale, isn't it, at work? Or I don't know what it is, but it's kind of funny that even down here at the minimum, small changes still feel like a big difference in audio. Anyway. Okay, let's try this. Apply. Maybe a little higher on the sound. Now see, the menu sounds are like much quieter compared to this sound indicator, but anyway, let's try this. Alright, let's jump. Oh wait, credits. So Elliot mentioned that, or I saw it in the Islands of Insight fan Discord. I saw someone post some things that Elliot apparently said about this game, and it was mentioned that this game is the puzzles in this game are designed by the core puzzle logic grid puzzle team from Islands of Insight. So that's cool. I really enjoyed the logic grid puzzles in Islands of Insight. And also that post mentioned that this game focuses more on what is it called? Let me just bring it up. I forgot what it's called. Let's see, where is that Discord? I kind of lost it now. Anyway, I forgot what it's called. It's like grid division type of puzzles, which is fun. I really like those. It's been a while since I've done some cracking the cryptic puzzle play-alongs or whatever you want to call them. But whenever I did do it in the past, I always enjoyed the grid division type of puzzles. Okay, let's jump in. Also, my mouse is kind of acting up and sometimes it double clicks, which is quite annoying, but hopefully that doesn't happen too often. I need to get a new one. Alright, click and drag to explore. Okay, so we've got 3D world, presumably from an isometric perspective. So that's cool, though I saw some, yeah, look at this shifting here. That's a little, you know, not ideal, but not a big deal. It's very slow to drag, like I need to drag the mouse quite a bit to... Ah, okay, but anyway, is there acceleration? I think there's acceleration. Let me test this. I'm gonna drag slowly from... Maybe not. Maybe there isn't acceleration. Ah, but there is some, like, deceleration when I let go. Anyway, it's fine. So it wants me to scroll that way to continue the tutorial, but I want to look around. There's a vase on this table behind the wheel. There are some interesting banners here. How high up can we go? This is how far we can zoom out. Okay, so this is cool. So like we took this airship, presumably, to arrive at this floating island. That's an interesting cart to have on a ship. Also, this box is precariously near the edge. Okay. So we arrived at this floating island that has interesting little potted plants hanging off the edge. We don't see anything about clouds below. So we must be quite high up. What is this? A little toolbox, or is that another potted plant thing? Anyway. Oh wait. What are these fans? So is that what's keeping the island floating? I mean, surely these fans do almost nothing. Look at all this rock. Or wait. Are these pillars? No, these pillars end here. Unless that's like fog below and we can't see the bottom. Wait, there's way more stuff over here. Wow. Cool. Anyway, these fans are funny. Or maybe it's like supposed to just keep this bridge more stable. Anyway. Okay, so the tutorial wants us, it said here, I think, scroll wheel or whatever to zoom in and out. Your progress is saved automatically. Now, does it want me to click this? Yeah, okay. It does seem to indicate that. So we've got a cool little animation here. And I guess let's jump in. Dearest esteemed artisan, thank you for accepting my invitation to restore the artworks of Glimmith. On that point, I have only one request. When shaping each piece of glass, you must follow the rules very closely. I care only about the shapes. Let your creativity roam free with the colors. Yours truly, Elias Vidimus. Okay, so not quite sure yet what this is telling us. It seems to tell us... I don't know if these symbols are part of the puzzle or if they are part of the tutorial in this figure, but I guess we'll see. For now, what this tells me is that it wants different pieces to connect at these points, but I don't know if that's... What he said is that he cares only about the shapes, doesn't care about the colors. Alright. Continue with space. Oh, this was not a... Okay, these sound effects are a bit jarring. Like... that's way too loud of a sound effect for a menu transition, in my opinion. Like, it's too... Like, you hear this? That would be more okay. This hover sound effect? That would be okay as a menu transition, but what is this? What is this? That's too much in my opinion. Okay, your progress is saved automatically. So here, there was this puzzle falling effect as well, but it wasn't actually a puzzle, it was just like this, message, this note. And here we have a different kind of table. Ah, and this one, when I hover it, I don't know if the previous table had a visual change when I hovered. I don't think it did. Apart from like the highlight, but this one has a different highlight animation. And this one now has a number. This has nothing. Okay, so these are like the puzzles. So that's cool. I like this, so far I like this aesthetic, and that you have you kind of have a world to explore in which you find the puzzles. I mean, I really like The Witness is one of my favorite games in the puzzle genre, and I really liked Islands of Insight as well. And both of those games have a world that you explore where you find the puzzles. Now, of course, this game is quite different because you don't actually navigate a character in the world in like a first-person perspective. But I think it's still very cool. Like, this is way better, in my opinion, than just having a menu with like puzzle 1, puzzle 2, and so on. I think this is way better. So that's cool. Alright, let's jump in. Click and drag to merge regions. All regions must be this shape. So I see. And if I click many times, then it changes the color. And if I drag from 1, then it copies that color. And if I click a few times, then everything in that region changes color. Oh, but wait. This now looks the same as this, even though it's not. Or is it? Hang on. Okay, so when I drag... Wait. Okay, so if this is one color and I drag on top of it, then all of it changes. So does that mean... Yeah, okay. Now, this is fine, but what's not fine in my opinion is that this looks exactly the same as this to me, even though it's not. On the other hand, if I click through this, I cannot find this color again. I think this... Yeah, see right now, this color doesn't show up again, but once I... Oh no, now it does. Okay, I don't get it. I mean, this is clearly wrong, like, you shouldn't be able to make the same color multiple times. Or should you? I don't know. To me, it would make more sense if each color was unique, and once it's on the board, you can't make it again. Although I understand that you could, like, you know, like this color, if it's separated from the same color, then it's fine. But, like, you shouldn't be able to make the same color touch. When it's technically not the same, if that makes sense. So I think to solve that problem, the easiest solution is to just have enough unique colors that you can make it a rule that once a color is on the board, it cannot repeat elsewhere. Anyway, let's finish. Now, what is undo like? Okay. How does undo work when we do something like this? Okay, it undoes the whole action, that's good. The sound effects, I don't know. They feel a bit, I don't know. Maybe I just need to adjust the volume a little bit on the sounds. But the thing is that, like, this hover animation is so quiet, but then... And, like, this sound effect is, I guess, fine. Although it would be maybe nice to have variation in it. But okay, I mean, the game is still a demo, so... Probably that's something that they will develop further, but... I don't know, then, like, the puzzle finish of the undo are, like, they feel more... They feel much louder to me. But it's okay, I guess. The cursor is interesting, but I'm not really a fan of the shape. Especially that bottom right bit, the rectangular bit. Looks a little unpolished to me. I don't know. I think I would much prefer just a triangle with that rainbow coloring that's in the inner part. Like just a, you know, a triangle angled towards the top left direction. And it just has that rainbow coloring. I think that would look much more elegant to me, personally. Oh, cool. So the shape that we leave the puzzle with shows up in the world. Now what happens if I do this? Okay, it stays like that. Ah, but the outer edge indicating that we solved the puzzle remains. Which is interesting. Right? Wait. Yeah. Although wait, the inner border is different. Yeah, like the inside. The correct division inside the board only has this animation when it's in the solved state. Or if we get it to a solved state and then we undo. Oh no. When we undo it doesn't. Okay. Oh, and what was this? There was an animation here as well? Oh yeah, that's just that it's being violated. The rule is being violated. Alright, your progress is saved automatically. I really like this, this border around the text looks really nice. Alright, moving on. So this is difficulty, right? Because we saw it here. Initially I thought that it was the puzzle exit. I'm not sure that I like the word exit being used here. To me, exit is a much more powerful word than just get out of the puzzle solving screen back to the overworld. Especially because it's just one simple transition, like, you know, not even a loading screen or anything. It's just boom, we're back. To me, that, I don't know. To me, exit is a much more powerful word that I would expect to mean like exit to the main menu or even out of the game. So I think back would maybe a better word here, for example. Alright, so yeah, initially I thought these numbers were gonna be the puzzle number, like puzzle number 1, number 2, and so on, but it's actually some arbitrary difficulty indicator. Well, I don't know how arbitrary it is, but Anyway. Shape bank. All regions must be this shape. Now this one starts with some color already. Okay, wait, what was happening here? So when I do this, they all change to another color. That's interesting. Anyway. So we can do this. Shapes can be rotated. How? Oh, I pressed R for restart. Oops. Shapes can be rotated? Oh, it means... It doesn't mean rotated physically, like when it's like this that I can rotate it. It means that whatever the rule says, the rule claims this shape is required, but rotations of that shape are also valid, is what this means. Okay. So we start by filling the edges because... Or sorry, these one-off dead ends, because those can only be filled like that. And this is the first puzzle where it feels like there's a sequence of that leads you to the solution. So like we start like this, and this uncovers this now as a new dead end edge, and this one, and then it leaves this. I'm not really fond with how similar these colors are, and I wonder how... I mean, at least there's still these dashed lines to help you visualize the different regions, but the colors themselves are too similar in my opinion. But I also understand how, if they were very different, like in this case they're all shades of blue, in the previous one they were all shades of red, here shades of green. I understand if they weren't shades of the similar color, then it would look a bit messy. Like it wouldn't look very harmonious. Like this looks nice because they're all similar shades of blue. So I guess it's fine as long as the dashed lines clearly indicate the different regions while you're solving it. So what's this? Why is this different? This table... Wait. Maybe... Weren't these tables like red before I solved them? Or like brown? Yeah, like this. So that's what they look like when they're not yet active, I guess. But once they're active, they look like this. And when they're solved, they look almost the same, just without the animation. Okay. Oh, by the way, I guess I just subconsciously started moving the map with arrow keys. I didn't even realize I was doing that. So originally it told us about right-click pan, but it never told us about arrow keys, did it? Anyway, this seems more natural to me. Oh, there's a 2. That's cool. So what was it saying? Z to undo, Y to redo, R to restart. Okay. So not all of these are reminded. Like, you're not reminded about Y to redo. You're only reminded about these. So maybe... Yeah, there's also no hotkeys listed anywhere, so maybe it would be good to have a... I mean, maybe they already have that in the backlog, most likely, but... It would be cool to have a menu or something that reminds you of all the hotkeys. Alright, all regions must be this shape. Okay, so here we now have 2 different colors. 2 different base colors of which we have shades, like this greenish and this purplish color. Ooh. This is nice. I mean, the presentation looks nice. I also didn't really talk about the art or, like, you know, the random stuff that is here for decoration, but it looks cool. It does look like 3D objects, which, you know, adds a bit of, I guess, continuity between the overworld area and the puzzle itself, and like those things show up when I hover the puzzle board. You know, these various little artistic tools. In fact, it looks like they appear in the exact same layout as well, which is cool. Although I don't see the little thing of nails, but maybe it's just no, it is there. It's just obscured behind the overlay number. So that's cool. Alright, you can choose colors freely even after completing the panel. Oh, okay, so initially the only reason we had similar colors was what? Not to overload the player? Because they didn't want to introduce this mechanic yet. Though this is just it's not actually a puzzle solving mechanic, I think it's just an artistic mechanic. Alright, all regions must be this shape. So from here we can we go in either direction, or is one of them? Yeah, I think we can. But this also has to come out, and then did you see my mouse clicked twice there? So we go like this, and then after solving the puzzle, I see. So if I have it on the question mark, looks like it prefers these two shades or something. Or no, just orange, I guess. Yeah, just orange it seems. But we can like change it. Okay. So I like the little 2, 3. Like it has this little thing in the middle, and it corresponds to the number of tiles that make up the shape. We have it in these two boards. So there is a puzzle down here that is not lit up. And we are not told why. Okay, that I don't like. In general, I guess this is like a personal preference thing, but I personally don't like backtracking. And this is now a point that I need to backtrack to. Now, okay, this world is very easy to navigate, so backtracking is not that big of a deal, but it's still some, you know, it has some mental, like it takes a small mental capacity, or a small bit of mental capacity to remember that, oh, I need to keep checking back here to see when this puzzle is unlocked. And I don't even know what will cause it to unlock. So far, what we have seen is that the puzzles unlock in a sequence that matches my linear path through the world. My linear exploration path. And now this is the first point where there's a small fork in the road. Now, okay, it immediately ends here, so it's not like there's a gigantic fork. But still. Also, now we have... Oh, we have something new here. And also the tutorial... Oh, there it is. I was gonna say the tutorial just left us alone, but no, it's over here. But this is like kind of obscured by this tree, so... It feels like it would be better if this was over here instead. Because I almost missed this. What does it say? Drag the camera around to find secret puzzle. Okay, fine. If that's what it says, then I can appreciate it being partially obscured. And it's cool that they have this sort of... Like, they make use of the 3D world exploration aspect, and we see that it's this puzzle that they're probably talking about. But why do I see that when I'm still back here, then? Shouldn't it activate in a little bit, or... I'm not really sure. Also... Maybe this is just a demo thing to keep you hooked / anticipating what's next. But I'm not sure I'm fond of us seeing all of this stuff immediately. Especially when some of it seems semi-interactable already. Like, you see these restoration progress indicators? I shouldn't be seeing that. And I shouldn't be seeing all of this stuff either, in my opinion. I think it would make sense to have areas covered by fog or somehow hidden until you reach the point where you're unlocking it or something like that. But, you know, maybe it's just a demo thing to show you, look at all this content. Whereas maybe in the full game, it will be different. I can see how in the demo it would make more sense not to do that. But anyway. Okay, so we have something here. What happens if I click this? Nothing. Okay, so it's just a hover thing, I guess. I don't like that, personally. If it's just a hover thing, then I think I would prefer if this thing was permanently showing here. Maybe with an optional hotkey to toggle it on and off, but like, I don't know. Like, I don't like the idea that if I wanna... Yeah, not even that, like maybe it would be better if it was like in the UI somewhere as an overlay that I can toggle on and off. Rather than having to like move around the map and find this thing and then hover over it to be like, okay, so how many are left? So I don't know what the silver and the gold means here. Gold presumably means solved or something like that, and silver is what? Unlocked? But that doesn't make sense because I've unlocked more than 5. This is number 6 or something. But anyway, it's nice to have this progress indicator for each section, presumably, because we saw another one here. We saw another one somewhere else here. So that's cool. Alright, let's continue. Oh, wait, this was the message thingy, wasn't it? Yeah, it is. Dearest Artisan, I hope this letter finds you in the best of spirits and creative fervor. There is much work to be done. These window frames show your restoration progress. Okay, so I guess they'll change to golden once they're complete. I really like this art. It really appeals to me. If you wish, complete an entire area to gild the window frame. Yours truly, Evie. Okay. Sure. Let's continue. Mirror reflections can also be used. Ah, okay. So in the previous puzzle, I was wondering between the two rotations slash reflections. Now in the end, with 3 shape, they were all valid. Like both this and this. But we see now that we didn't need to worry about that anyway, because mirrored reflections are also valid, so yeah. So, look at that, my mouse keeps double clicking. Alright. This is not that nice. Like, my coloring choices are not that nice, but let's just focus on the puzzles in this demo. Oh, the first difficulty level 2 puzzle. Well, oh, look, this unlocked now. Okay. Sure. This shape. Okay. So, what does this belong to? Well, it could belong to this, like this, or that's the only option, isn't it? Because if it goes this way, in fact, it has to go that way. It can't not go that way. So this is a must. And now it cannot go this way because it will cut that off. So it must, this must be a different color. And now how can we satisfy this shape? Only like this. Cool. Whoa. Oh, okay, so it needs 7. I still don't know what the difference between silver and gold is in terms of puzzle completion, but maybe we'll find out. Drag from corners along the dotted lines to place metal borders. Ah, I see. Use them to mark edges you are absolutely sure of. Okay, yeah, that's good. That is important. All regions must be this shape. Alright, so that means that once you color 2 things, let's see. Yeah, once you color 2 things, you will always have to color, like, move them along. Whether it's... Because, like, once I color 2 things, it's either... Yeah, no matter which 2 it is in the shape, you will always have to turn it into a 2x2 immediately. And then once we have a 2x2, it has to turn into this. Okay, so let's look at this. It can't be like this because this dies. So... And it also can't be that this is a different color, so these have to be the same. Now this has to be different. And that now immediately does this, and this, this, and this. So I didn't need this mechanic here. But we will keep it in mind. Okay, so wait, so the silver ones, it says 7 out of 7. And the gold ones... Okay, so I think I understand now what it means. And I misunderstood what it meant. I thought that there were 2 types of puzzles, or 2 states a puzzle can be in, silver or gold, once it's completed. But that's not actually what this tells us, I think. What the silver and gold means is actually this. The state that the window frame can be in. And what it tells us is that if we solve 7 puzzles in this area, I assume in this area, not overall, right? Yeah, not overall, because these ones are not counting yet. So yeah, what this tells us is that once we solve 7 puzzles in this area, the window frame will be silver. And once we solve 10, it will be gold, and presumably 10 is the maximum, and presumably you need to find hidden puzzles to solve all 10, such as this. I don't know if I like how this is communicated. I mean, it can just be my own misunderstanding, but I don't know, like, I'm not fond of how right now it says 7 out of 7 and 8 out of 10. Because that implies 2 different groupings. But the 7 out of 7 is a part of the 8 out of 10. Like, the 7 puzzles solved there are also contributing to the 10 puzzles below it. So, like, I don't know. Surely there's a cleaner way to communicate this that doesn't imply this sort of thing. But anyway, it's fine. Alright, so let's keep solving them. All regions must be this shape. So here, we cannot make this shape, which means that once we color this something, this has to be a different color. Oh no, that's not true, because we could make this shape. So this... but sorry, what it means, since we cannot make this shape, it means that this has to be the same color over here. Okay. And that's true over here as well. Now, what's next? We will either do this or this. Now, in either case, we will be left with one thing that moves up. Okay, so we cannot have this. No, we could have this, sorry. We cannot have this, however. Right, and we see that from here, because of this. We'll either do that or that, but either way... wait. So this is not possible. And this is not possible. So either way, this cannot connect to that. So these have to be 2 different colors, and they cannot be these colors. So now this can only complete itself like this. And this now can only complete like this. I don't know if there was a cleaner way to solve this, but whatever. All regions must be this shape. Okay. That's interesting. So, let's start here, for example. Once we color this something, where along this shape is this? Well, I think I want to say it has to be this square, but is that true? If it's not that square... So these are almost, you know, a 3x3 with the middle missing. It's just that this corner was also missing. But if it was a 3x3 with the middle missing, then we could clearly say that the only way this can be colored is like this could never be, or wait, yeah, this could never be a corner, right? Because a corner requires these two in two different directions from it, but this only has connections in one direction, if that makes sense. On the other hand, this can never be one of the middle ones. Sorry, again, I'm talking about a full 3x3, not the 3x3 with a corner missing. This only has neighbors, one neighbor in each direction. Or sorry, at most one neighbor in each direction. And the middle items need two neighbors in one direction and 0. They don't need any of the other. So this, in a full 3x3 without a corner missing, would never be able to be one of the middle ones, so it would have to be one of the corner ones. However, we have a special case here because these two middle tiles actually only need one neighbor, which technically this could fulfill, but that neighbor then needs... That neighbor is then a corner tile, and that needs two neighbors in different directions, which neither of these could fulfill, because both of these only have a neighbor directly next, or sorry, in both of these squares only have neighbors in one axis. Okay, so I think that proves that this, even in the 3x3 with a corner missing, this tile here can only be a corner tile. So it's one of these three corner tiles. So the next question is, can it be the central corner tile, or can it be one of these outer corner tiles relative to the missing piece? Well, if it's... So then we're asking if it's the central, then these two squares do not belong to the shape. But if it's not the central, then one of these do not belong to the shape. Okay, but if this doesn't belong to the shape, it will just be cut off. So this has to belong to the shape. So then one of these two are the... One of these two do not belong to the shape, so these do. So then we either finish like this or like this, and I guess this is bad, because now this dies over here, doesn't it? Yeah, this now dies. So it has to be like this and like this. And this now completes the puzzle. Again, I don't know if I overcomplicated this, but... Wait. Was there only one left? So this is part of the new section, I guess? There's no clear indicator in the world as to what window frame a puzzle belongs to. Again, that feels like it falls under a similar category as the fog hiding each area, in terms of having some indicator that tells us which, like, a boundary between each area would be nice. But anyway, let's continue. Switch colors quickly with 1 to 9 or scroll wheel. Oh, over here, not over here. Okay. Oh, and it changes the central color in the cursor. That's cool. So I guess that's a reason to have an outer boundary on the cursor that doesn't change color. But I think you can still have like a thin white border around the triangle that changes color and it would be fine as a cursor. I still feel like this cursor is too large, or at least too, I don't know, clunky of a shape. Alright, all regions must be one of these shapes. Okay, so now we have multiple options. Now clearly this has to be a shape like this, same for here. This clearly has to be a part of this. Okay. So this counting... Well, that's interesting. It starts building up. I like that. That's pretty cool. So now this laser beam is... This ray of light has a particular color to it, which I'm not sure I've noticed the previous ones having that. Let's continue. Use tab to switch to coloring, border drawing, and note-taking. Oh, wow. Okay, that's interesting. Ah, there we go. This is what I wanted. So they already have it. That's cool. I know that is just a very temporary thing during the tutorial that we don't get this thing straight away, but I don't know. It feels to me that we could still get this controls list from the start of the game. Not with all the controls filled in, just the ones that you have been communicated up to that point. But it's not a big deal because it's just during the first initial tutorial phase, so it's whatever. Okay, so in this mode I can do everything, right? In this mode I cannot accidentally do borders, and in this mode I can only do borders. Okay. Cool. Alright. All regions must be one of this shape. Okay, so this can only belong to this, and it has to be all of these. This has to be this. Okay, so I don't know. To me, so far, there hasn't been a single puzzle where I needed to consider partial edge completion and go elsewhere in the board before I can continue. So far, it seems to me that there has always been at least one square that can only belong to one shape, and that from that point you can solve the whole puzzle. So I don't know if that means that the tutorial puzzles are not such that you need to make use of the border mechanic. Or I don't know how to communicate this better, but maybe it's just because, like, I don't know. Like, for example, this part right now, I kind of cheated because I solved this intuitively and not logically. I just intuitively looked at the leftover squares and I said, okay, I can simply do this. And I didn't consider the other shape, like this option. I mean, I can immediately see that this would break it, but I don't know. Like, to logically solve that without reaching a contradictory state, and then, you know, through the contradiction, know that it has to be the other option. How would I solve this logically? Well, I don't know. I would just say, okay, this square has to be a part of a 2x2, so that's a 2x2, and now there's only a 2x2 left. I don't know. So I don't know. It feels like I didn't need the border coloring yet. You can complete the entire panel in border drawing mode if you prefer. Okay, that's cool. So, if we wanted to solve this with just border drawing, what would we do? Again, this... Okay, no, this time this can be a part of... well, or can it? Hold on. Like, this... I don't think it can be part of the... I don't know what this... is it the Tetramino or whatever they're called in Tetris? I don't know what it's called. I know each Tetris block has a name. Is this an S? Anyway, it wouldn't be able to be that Tetris shape in this direction. It could be this, but then this would get cut off. So that tells me that this has to be a part of the 3 tile block. But even then it could be like this or like this. But either way, these would have to be the same color. But we said that we would use a border thingy, but the border thingy doesn't help here, because with the border thingy I cannot indicate that these two are the same color. But it says that this, like, it implies that this puzzle can be completed with just border coloring, so let's give it a shot. Okay, so this cannot be Tetris, the Tetris shape in any way, right? So clearly, this is what it has to be. Now this cannot be a 3 tile block, so it has to be Tetris. This has to be this. This cannot be 3 tiles, so it should be Tetris, which is like this and this, and we're done. What would it have looked like if I solved it with coloring instead? I would have done this. I don't know. We'll see. We can figure out. For now, I'll just use the coloring, and then if I need the border indication, then I'll use that. Okay, so there are 10 puzzles in this area. I've solved these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Whatever. We'll find the hidden ones. There's probably one down there. Or something. We'll see. Let's just continue. Shift click to place metal borders around the shape. You can use this to mark regions that you're absolutely sure of. Oh, I see. Okay, I see. So this tells us that if we want, we can turn a 3 tile line into a 4 tile line. Okay. So we have to do that. And then this has to go this way. We can just do this. Oh. I'm just thinking about like this border indicator mechanic, and so far it didn't feel necessary. Even though the puzzle keeps telling us more about how we can interact with the border coloring mechanic, and I keep not needing to use it. Alright, so here we can have 2x2s and 3x3s. And we have an odd number of tiles across the column because we have 7 columns and 6 rows. So 6 times 7 is 42, and we need to add up to 42 using 4s and 9s. Okay. So how many ways of doing that are there? Well, 42 is an even number, so that means we need to have an odd number of 9s. And also 42 is not divisible by 4, so we will need at least 1 9. I don't know if this is the right way of solving this puzzle, but it makes sense to me to consider this. So we need an odd number of 9s, and there's at least 1 9. If we only use 1 9, then we would have 33 left to add up to, which is not divisible by 4. So we need at least 3 9s. 3 times 9 is 27. 42 minus 27 is 15, which again is not divisible by 4. Or sorry, what did I say? 42 minus 27, right? Yeah, that is 15. Okay, so we need at least 5 9s. Is that true? That doesn't make sense. I think I messed up. 2, 4, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6. 6 times 7 is 42. And 42 is not divisible by 4. So we need 9s, but we cannot have... Sorry, why did I say an odd number of 9s? It doesn't make sense. We need an even number of 9s because we add up to an even number. So if we had an odd number of 9s, we would end up with an odd number. So yeah, my bad. We need at least 2 9s because we cannot have 0 because 42 is not divisible by 4. So we need at least 2 9s. That's 18. 42 minus 18 is 24. 24 is divisible by 4, so we could have 2 9s. If we had 2 9s, we would need 6 4s. Actually, that already solves it. I can see how that would work. It would be like this. Oops. How about 4 9s? 4 9s is 36. 42 minus 36 is 8. Which doesn't work because we cannot fit 4 9s in a way that leaves space for 2x2s. So yeah. Okay. Again, I don't know if that was the cleanest line to the solution, but it works. Borders must always separate two different regions. Okay, so when it gives us given borders, we know that the two sides are different colors. And then within one region like this, I can only do this once. This two different colors. What I mean is that I couldn't do this because I don't know for sure. I do know these are two different colors, but within their own regions they could match previous colors. So anyway, this clearly cannot be a part of a 4x4 outer edge because there's no space for that in here. And the 4x4 cannot jump over to the other region because it needs a continuous, orthogonally continuous shape. So that means that both of these are part of a 2x2. That logic doesn't apply to this. In fact, this cannot be a part of a 2x2, so this is clearly like this. Now, how about here? Well, here I can just make all of these 2x2s. So we solved 6, 4 remain. I see 1, 2, 3. There's a fourth probably hidden somewhere. We will find it in a sec. Let's just solve these. The first step here is not obvious. Instead of guessing, try joining cells that you know are connected. Yeah, so we can only have shapes that contain 4 tiles, so this has to come out 3 steps, and then on the 4th step it could be either shape, but not this. So here we can do this. First time where drawing an edge makes logical sense, or at least jumps out as the logical next step. So again, same thing here, same thing here. And this has to come out, and it cannot be the same color as this, so we do that. And then this has to be 4. This goes down. Now this could go over here. It cannot actually go here because then this would be cut off, so we do this. This comes out. What was it? Shift click? Yeah, we can shift click to complete these shapes. Now this can only come here and it's complete. Done. We do this. And... oops. I didn't mean to do that. There we go. Each puzzle has a single unique solution. Okay. That was funny. We never made use of the... Okay, this is weird. It says each puzzle has a unique solution, but it also gives us... it gives us... what's the word I'm looking for? Like superfluous or unnecessary rules. This... the allowance of this 3-tile shape was not needed to solve this puzzle, which is very strange. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. This is my first time where I felt like the puzzle rules are a bit weird. Puzzles can always be solved with logic. Guessing is never required. So this has to be a part of the same shape. Every time we have this dead end, we need to come out because each tile needs to be at least... Oh, what is... Okay, that's weird. You can actually interact, you can hover. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. You can hover the previous puzzle, but clicking it does nothing. That's weird. I guess it's because we are a part of the same... like we're still on the same scene or whatever, and so this hover logic doesn't go away, which doesn't make sense if I cannot click it, so yeah. Anyway, now this is cut off, so it has to be completed. Same, oops, same here. Same here. And so now the opposite was true. This time we didn't need this rule. So it's almost as if the additional rules complicate the logic of solving the puzzle, even if they never get used. So in that sense, you can argue that they still contributed to the puzzle. Because if the puzzle didn't have this two-tile shape as a potential allowed shape, then it would have been much faster to solve the whole thing, which is interesting. Is that true here? It was true here, in fact, at the start, because if the three-tile shape is not allowed, then this we can immediately see as a two-tile, 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 and then the puzzle is complete with very little effort. But because the three-tile shape was allowed, we couldn't start the puzzle up here, we had to start it down here. That's interesting. I don't recall seeing puzzles like that in Islands of Insight. Grid puzzles where like extra rules made the puzzle more complicated and they were never used, except in terms of making the logic more complicated. That's interesting. Okay, where is the last box? Or whatever, board. Here, behind this, but how can I click it? I have to find a hole in the terrain. I mean, I can click it from here, but surely that's not the intended way of finding it, is it? Oh, from here, okay, that's the intended way. This reminds me of, The Witness. I read that in The Witness they actually had some algorithm that checked the geometry of the 3D world to make sure that you could not interact with a puzzle from a perspective that you were not meant to be able to do. Which is quite interesting. Anyway, challenge ahead. Difficulty 5 to 6 puzzles are very challenging. They may require careful logic, advanced techniques, and lots of persistence. Early break-in steps may be difficult to spot. These puzzles are optional. Feel free to come back later if you get stuck. Okay. So here we can have 3, 4, or 5 tile shapes. So at each dead end we have to come out 3 at least. This one is complete. This... Okay. This tile can only belong to this, which completes these. This is now complete. This has to be its own new shape, which completes all of these. Ooh, I messed up. Why did I mess up? Oh no, wait, 5 is possible. Never mind. I thought this was dead now, but 5 is possible. Alright. That was not difficult. That was a very linear solution, in my opinion. You could always immediately spot a tile that immediately brings or completes other tiles. It's just the shapes themselves that remained incomplete throughout the board, but I don't know. I don't think that's... I mean, it said 5 and 6. It implied that 5 and 6 are like much harder, but I don't know. To me, this was more like a 3. We haven't seen a 3 before yet, have we? Yeah, I think that would be more like a 3. It's very quick and I don't know. Oh, actually, we have seen a 3. Yeah, I don't know. This is why I said at the start that it's gonna be an arbitrary difficulty indicator. Because it's difficult, I think, to... Like, I don't know, to me personally, it would have to be a combination of... Like, I think there are two... There's probably, like, at least 2 ways to look at it. One is, like, how large is the puzzle? Because you could have a simple puzzle where it's a very linear solution path, but it's so large that it takes time and focus to not make a mistake. So that's certainly one axis of difficulty, is like how large the puzzle is, and therefore the larger the puzzle is, the more opportunities for making mistakes, and that's like a source of difficulty. And then the other is like how complicated are the logical deductions needed to make progress. And so I think, to me, those are the 2 main things that together make up the difficulty of a puzzle. So I think this puzzle, like this 5, this indicator saying this is a difficulty 5, to me what this says is that they consider this puzzle large enough, even though all the logical steps were quite simple, but they consider that it's large enough to be worth a 5, and that doesn't make sense to me because it's not that large. Like, surely, even if, like, to me this is a 3, maybe at most a 4, but 5 is weird, considering we've not even seen a 4 yet, and we've seen a 3 which was this size. This is clearly a little bit larger, but the logical steps were not complicated, so I don't know. But yeah, it's just gonna be arbitrary anyway. So we've completed this window. I like this art. It's quite nice. So far the windows are quite similar, but I think they're also a little different, and that's nice. I don't think you could expect them to be... I was gonna say you should, like, surely you can't expect all of them to be like nice, unique mosaic art. For now, I like them. They like blend in with the nature / ruins architecture vibes of the environment, and they're quite nice. And I really like how the light shines through and this shadow is cast onto the environment. That's nice. Okay. So now we get to choose which way to go, it seems. And this table is not interactable. It's not clear whether that's because it's locked or what. And so for now, my biggest question slash complaint, if it can be called a complaint, is like the same as with this puzzle when it was locked. Now we have another one that seems to maybe be locked, but there's nothing at all telling me what to expect here. All I know is that it's not interactive, but I'm left in the dark as to why it's not interactive, and I don't like that. I think that's something like, the thing is that with these ones, we've at least seen what they look like when they're not interactive, so I can tell that they're locked right now, and that I know that I can expect them to be unlocked eventually. But this is a different thing. This is not a puzzle. This is like one of these, right? It's one of these. And there aren't enough of these for me to remember what they look like when they're locked. But I'm just gonna assume that this is what it looks like when it's locked. But it's just a little weird, because like, there's a parchment with no text on it. That means it's locked. Sure, I guess, but I don't know. I don't like it. I would like if I was told what to expect. And I guess this again ties in with the locked islands, or, well, I'm calling them islands, which is like Islands of Insight terminology, I guess. But, you know, locked areas with, let's say, a fog or something, or whatever, maybe some overlay that told you it's locked until X. If we had that over a whole area, then I wouldn't have to wonder about the locked puzzles inside, because I can just immediately know that, you know, it belongs to an area I haven't yet unlocked, and that's fine. But in the areas we're actually in, like this one, it would be nice to know why things are locked in there. Anyway, where is our window for this area? Is it this one? Where? Wait, okay, so I guess this is actually our current area, and this is the window in it. So let's just... Ooh, we have a new symbol, a new rule, delta. The two regions touching the symbol must be different shapes. Different shapes. Interesting. So that's what we saw in the first parchment. But here it's like a Gemini symbol. Whereas here it's a delta. Okay. So we have two possible shapes. And we know that these have to be different shapes. Now we know that this in here has to be this. So this has to be a 3x1. This has to be a 3x1. This can only be a 3x1 like this. And this now has to be a 3x1 like this. Okay, cool. So that updated this window. So we are indeed in this Windows area. Ah, Gemini. The two regions touching the symbol must be the same shape. Okay, makes sense. So we have this. This can only be a 3-tile shape like this, and then we can do that. This can only be a 2x2, and now this is forced to be a different shape. This can only be a 4x1 in this direction. This can only be a 4x1, but it cannot be a 4x1 in this direction because of the delta. The delta requires this. Oh, wait, I messed up. Oh no, I didn't. Okay. Right now I'm really solving these kind of through pattern recognition intuition, but I guess that's fine because they're not difficult. So I assume that that's the expectation anyway. All regions must be one of these shapes. So that's gonna be this. And now we need 2x2s here. Wait, no, that's bad. Yeah, so again, I kind of cheated with pattern recognition, but whatever. Okay, these are locked. So I guess let's go in the other direction. This is still locked as well, this parchment. Ooh, new mechanic. Okay, so a lot of new mechanics are being thrown at us all of a sudden, which I'm okay with, but they don't like dedicate an area to the mechanic. They seem like they dedicate. Okay, this is Gemini, and this is Gemini. Delta, Delta. Okay, oh, dude, this sound effect is ridiculous. Like, that's way too loud. I know I mentioned it at the start, but I'm gonna complain about it again. So right now, my two complaints. The menu transition sound effect and the locked puzzle for unknown reasons situation. Alright, so it looks like each line is like a puzzle, and then I guess they merge, and then this will have both Gemini and Delta or something. That's cool, I like that. But why is it locked? Why do I have to go and solve a completely unrelated mechanic before I can continue here, where presumably that unrelated mechanic is not going to show up here? Presumably it's just still going to be Gemini and Delta. I don't get that. So this falls under, again, the locked puzzle complaint, but this time for a different reason. This time, instead of knowing and communicating to the player why it's locked, instead it's why was it designed this way? Why is this locked? Presumably behind an unrelated mechanic. Like, I don't understand that. But okay. What is this? A new thing. Check progress. Everything so far is correct. Okay, so this is like a hint system. Each region contains exactly one of each symbol. Ah, okay, that's really cool. So this is like a different way to force the grid division. That's really nice. I like this. Now what happens if I make a mistake? Then it's violated, but then what's the check progress for? It tells us why it's violating, I guess. Or it tells us what would need to change for it to not be violating. So what happens if I do this? Okay, it just tells us one of the things. Okay. Alright, so these have to be different. These have to be different. These have to be different. And each shape has to... Each region has to contain all of the 4 shapes. So whenever we don't yet contain 4 shapes, we have to keep expanding. And now at this point we have a choice, but we cannot expand here anymore. So we just do this and it's complete. Here we cannot go that way, so we go that way and it's done. I like this mechanic. This is really cool. Okay, that's still locked. Okay, but here there are 2 symbols, and they cannot connect to each other. And we have to keep expanding until we hit blue. And then I guess I can just be greedy, and once we contain both, we can just lock it. Alright. Yeah, I'm really not liking that every time I solve a puzzle, I go back and check if these are unlocked yet. Also, like, why is it like, okay, we just finished this area, la 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 la, we go to the new area, oh, there's a locked thing here, great, I guess I'll just have to keep solving puzzles and coming back here until it's magically unlocked. Yeah, I really don't like that. I know I keep harping on about that complaint, but it's actually really bothering me. Okay, so expand. Now this can only get this shape, so it does, and then these can only be part of this shape, so... Now these can only belong to this. Sorry, I was saying shape, I should say region. So this has to... Oops. I did not mean to do that. There we go. I feel like it would be nice to have a hotkey that... Oh, paint bucket, that's exactly what I wanted. So that when I'm at this stage... Wait, what was it? Sorry. Q. I guess that's good enough. That's not exactly what I wanted, but it's fine. Because I don't know how else they could do it. So it makes sense. Outline shapes with borders. Oh yeah, that's the edge. That's locking the edges of a region. Alright. Oh, look, it magically unlocked. Wow. Wait, that's the demo? Oh, wait. Okay, now it makes sense why they locked the progression. Because it was a demo. I thought, okay, I mistakenly thought that everything we can see is the demo, but I guess that would have been a really large demo in hindsight, so I guess it makes sense. Full game has 28 areas packed with clever puzzles. Clever puzzle rules that interact in surprising and delightful ways. Everything is 100% handmade by our award-winning puzzle team. You can also create and share your own puzzles using the in-game editor and Steam Workshop. Coming March 2026. Nice. Wait, demo 52% complete. Wait, so the demo isn't over? What? Oh, okay, wait, we can continue this. Wait, now all of a sudden everything is unlocked. Bro, what is happening? Okay, I hope they tidy up this unlocking thing in the full game. But okay, I've been really enjoying this mechanic, so let's continue here. So this is a 1 difficulty apparently. Now this could connect to one of these two blues. But it's not immediately obvious to me why... Oh wait, this blue. And this blue clearly cannot connect to this red. Because it would have to go through another red. So this blue connects to this red or this red? I mean, I could do that. Let's ask. Okay, I see now. This cannot be, because now yellow cannot be connected to them in any way. So these cannot connect, so this happens, and now Now we could still choose between two yellows. In fact, I think we cannot take this yellow because then this... Yeah, this gets cut off from yellow. Or like... Yeah, one of these gets cut off, so... We have to go this way, and we cannot take that because then this dies, so we just do this, and this is now complete. This needs a red, so it comes here. There we go. Is there a reason not to pick this up? I mean, we could avoid picking it up, actually. So it's a question of what does this connect to? Wait, this is weird. How is this unique? I don't get how this puzzle is unique. Because... What? Am I blind? Why does this not... Whoa. Wait, what? Oh, sorry, this is why. So it says these are two different colors, I see. Which prevents this from picking this blue up. So this... Wait, but... Can I just not do this, though? Oh, sorry. This is... Okay, hold on. So these are two different colors. This has to come out here. Now this is a different color. It could it be the same as this? Yes, I guess. It could. But the point is that this cannot pick up this blue. And it cannot pick up this blue either because it would have to cut off this red to do so, because it cannot go through here. So that means it has to be this blue. And this is the only path there, and now the puzzle completes itself. Okay. I see. Oh, did I not do this? A single region can never touch both sides of a border. Yeah, okay. This was supposed to be the reminder for that, but I accidentally skipped it. Alright, so yeah, now this cannot go here. So this has to be here. Now see, I wish that I could just copy this color over. Can I do that? One. Yeah, see, okay, this I dislike. I can't say that these two are the same color because it's, whatever I do here, they're different. So I don't like that. So I guess that's my third complaint is I can't copy colors. And even if I could, it's weird because there are so many shades of a color, so that feels a little weird. Now the other thing is that we know that there are only two colors on this board, so like already once I do this all has to be a different color. Well, that's interesting. So 2, 4, 6, there are 8 red symbols, and each one, that means that there are only 8 regions on the board, but each region must be in this shape. So this one, this can only be one of these two, which means that it has to be this. Yeah, okay, at this stage, I'm no longer a fan of this system. I don't like that each color has various shades and that you cannot pinpoint a specific shade to apply elsewhere on the board. Like right now, each of these is a different region. I don't want that. I want to be able to select a region and apply that region elsewhere on the board. Like I want to click a button, a hotkey here that says copy this region, and then apply the exact same region elsewhere. And I don't want different regions to have the same shaded color. So I think they really need to do the color uniqueness thing. Okay, so far my 3 complaints are menu transition sound effect, locked puzzle indicator, or locked, not just puzzle, but locked puzzle and message indicator, and color uniqueness. Color uniqueness as well as copying a region. So I guess region color uniqueness and copying that region elsewhere onto the board, or applying it elsewhere on the board in a place that is not directly connected yet. Let me write these down so I don't forget, and I'll elaborate on them later. So blocked puzzles / messages, menu transition sound effect, region color uniqueness, and applying a region elsewhere on the board where it is not yet connected. This can only be like this. I'm kind of cheating here with pattern recognition, but whatever. It is what it is. I think probably all the one difficulty puzzles are meant to be intuition and pattern recognition based anyway. Or at least most of them, probably. Okay, so here we have 3. We have no magical separators. Okay. So we do this. I don't know, I'm kind of just cheating here with pattern recognition again. Oh wow, these all got unlocked. So this still needs a red, so it's gonna collect all this. And then I see no reason why it shouldn't collect this, so this is just done, I guess. And now this red needs to escape, except it has to belong to one of these colors. But wait, I guess I can like do this, and then this. Yeah, that's nice. And then I can paint bucket here, and then change it to this. Oh wait. Oh, oops. Sorry. Wait, no, I messed up. This should be like this. Okay. Yeah. Don't know what to say about the color uniqueness thingy there, but whatever. Okay, so no separators inside the puzzle so we can just do stuff. Oops. I want this to be a different color. There we go. Any reason why this shouldn't collect this? No. This, any reason why it shouldn't collect this? I want to say no, but is that true? Wait. This has to come out. Okay, so this needs a blue, as does this. This also needs a red. Wait, that's the only red left. So... Wait, did I mess up? I think... No, I didn't, but I have to be careful because there are exactly 2 regions left that need a red. But there's only 1 free red left, so one of these 2 regions has to connect with another region, but only this could connect with any other region right now. Which means this red has to belong to this. So how can this collect that without blocking this from a blue? I see no way of doing that, which means I broke the puzzle already. Probably because of this. So let's reset. And let's not cheat this time. With assumptions that are not supported by logic. Okay. So, again, this has to come out. And right now, we have... Let's see, this... What is... So this is missing a yellow, blue, blue. Okay, these 2 are missing blue, so they collect these 2 blues. So if these 2 collect these 2 blues, then how does this get a yellow? Well, I think that means this yellow has to connect to this. And the only way that can happen is if this doesn't collect this red. So then we will have something like this. And then... this red belongs to what then? Well, it could belong to this. And then this can pick up this blue. Okay, done. Oh wait, there's a light here. All regions must be one of these shapes, okay. This is like a Swampy Boots situation where, like, for a second I wasn't sure if this is the whole shape or, like, you have a 6x1 with the second tile missing, or is it 2 different shapes? Which, if anyone is familiar with the Witness subreddit and the Swampy Boots, then you'll know what I'm talking about. So, we can have singletons is what this is telling us. We can either have singletons or we can have 4x1s, and that's the only 2 things we can have. But clearly, a tile, the only way you can have a singleton is at the red shape or red symbol spots. So for example, any tile that doesn't have a red symbol in it has to be a part of a 4x1. So for example, this is a 4x1. Now it cannot go this way because it will collect more than 1 red symbol, and it needs to collect exactly 1 red symbol, so it has to be like this. Here, again, the same thing. Have to go this way because we couldn't go vertically. This has to be a singleton. That should be a 4x1. Well, actually, it has to be a 4x1 because of this, for example, or this, or this. This singleton, this could be a 4x1 vertically and not horizontally. This has to be a singleton. This 4x1 this way, 4x1 singleton. There we go. Okay. I don't see other rays of light here. It says demo 67% complete, so let's continue this way. Here we have both Gemini and Delta. We have 2x1s and 3x1s. But this area has to be 3x1. And this has to be 3x1. It cannot be... It cannot go this way because it will violate the Delta, so it has to go this way. And then this has to be 2x1. It cannot go up because this will get cut off, so it's like this. Done. 1x1 or 2x2. So 1x1, 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 2x2. Gemini. This can only be a 1x1. Delta into a 2x2, and then two 1x1s. Okay. 2x1s or a plus sign. We have a delta here now. This cannot be a plus in any way because it cannot be an edge and it cannot be a center either. So this must be a 2x1 and this must be a plus sign. Now this can only be a plus sign in one way, I believe. Yeah. It can only be like this. So this has to be like this. And now this cannot be a plus sign. This cannot be a plus sign. This cannot be... This could be, in fact, it has to be once it cuts this off. This has to be like that, like this, like this, like this, like this. This, 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 this. That was a difficulty 2. I don't know, like to me this puzzle felt very, very similar to this one. And yet one is a difficulty 2 and the other is a difficulty 5. That's a little weird. I guess I should put that into my list. Difficulty 5. The first difficulty 5 puzzle. Regarding the first difficulty 5 puzzle, this difficulty ranking seems strange. Anyway. Okay, 2x2s or this shape. And here we have to mirror. So either these are both 2x2s or they're both this shape. Can they both be this shape? I think they can. And that actually solves the puzzle. So I actually don't even apply any logic here. I just randomly solved it. So let's try to solve it logically. So logically, I could take, for example, this and say this cannot be a part of the shape because I would either do this or I would do this, and in both cases we cut off a tile that can no longer be a part of a valid shape. So this has to be a 2x2, and that logic applies here as well. Now we're left with this. And now we can say that this cannot be a 2x2, because if it was, then we would leave shapes hanging. So it has to be two instances of this shape. And the only way we can do that is like this. There we go. Three deltas. We could be alternating between two shapes, but we actually have three options. And here we have three Geminis, so these three all have to be the same shape. But because of the borders, it could be two regions that like somehow connect, but I don't think there's a way to connect this and this without cutting this off in a way that there's no way all three could be the same shape. Oh wait, no, sorry. Is there some emergent rule that if we have two Geminis like this, then they have to be three different regions? I would have to think about it, but my first instinct is that the answer is yes. Unless there's like some shape that somehow loops in on itself. Okay, actually, never mind. I guess if this was like in the middle of the board, then you could have like this sort of thing. Which would mean that these two tiles were the same. Like, you know, if this was here. Anyway, on the edge of the board, I think it's true that this implies three different regions. Because no matter how I connect these two, there won't be enough room for this to make the same shape. Okay. Now, we need these, so we have to come out like this. And now this is forced to come out like this. And they have to be the same shape, so if I do this, this would have to do this. And that works. On the other hand, if I do this, then I would have to do this. And now this one would have to do this, and things would break. So I think that means that we have to do this. And here they have to all be different. Now this couldn't be this, so it has to at least come out this way. And both of these have to come out. This has to come out further. And so now this has to do this, this, this. This has to do this, and then it can go one or two more. This has to be the shape. Now we can do this. Okay. Again, this puzzle felt like it was at least as difficult as that 5 difficulty one. We have two shapes. By the way, I just realized something. By virtue of the rules, I think all shapes have to be orthogonally contiguous, if that's the right terminology, meaning that any shape that's in the shape bank has to connect the region orthogonally. So we won't have any swampy boot situations. Again, regarding the witness thingy that I mentioned earlier. Anyway. So, we have two of the same symbol here. And it's okay for these to be part of the same group, I think. The same region. here we have same region. Now the other thing we can say is that this side of the board, it's a 4x4, which is 16 tiles. How many tiles is this? 6. This 3 is 6 plus 4 is 10. So this side of the board has to be made up of one of this and one of this. 10 plus 6 is 16. We couldn't have 2 of this because 2 6s is 12, and we would have 2 free-floating tiles that cannot be a part of any region. So if this section, this 4x4, has to be made up of these 2 shapes, then we can ask, where are those shapes? But it's a better question to ask it on this side, because that same thing, that same logic applies to this side of the board, and here we have some more given logic. We know that these 2 shapes, one of them shows up here and the other here. So, which is which? Can we tell? Well, I think this cannot be the 6 tile shape, because if this was the 6 tile shape, then this would have to be the 10 tile shape, and does that cause a problem with these? I'm a little confused. I'm having some difficulty seeing this. So whatever is here, the same shape is here. If this was the 6 tile, then the 6 tile would have to be here as well. So I guess let's... Okay, we should think about the corners, because 3 of the corners have to belong to the 10 tile shape, right? Which means one of the corners belongs to the 6 tile shape. And I think that corner cannot be here, right? Because then we would have this, and I think that's a problem. Or is it? Ugh. I can't even see if that's a problem. Is this a problem? This would have to be 10 tile, 10 tile, 6 tile. Oh yeah, that cannot be. Okay. So in this one, we know the 6 tiles here somewhere. So one of these corners belongs to the 6 tile, which means both of these corners belong to the 10 tile. And the third corner of the 10 tile is either here or here. And so we know either this will happen or this will happen. And either way, this happens. Wait. Yeah, that's as far as we can go. And then we either go like this. No, wait, that's not true. I'm a bit confused. Wait, is it like this? Why does... It is like that, isn't it? Yeah, it is, because this piece cannot be here or here. So this piece and this piece both have to be here. Okay. And now only these two tiles are left, either here or here, which means that all of these belong to the 6-tile shape. And then it will either be like that or like that. And mirrored versions are eligible, so either of those can still happen. So now we can ask something else. We can see that these two will always belong to the same shape. And so that means that that shape will be mirrored here and be different here, which means these two are different regions. What else does that tell us? Well, whatever shape is here, a different shape is here. So if this is shape A, and this is B, and there are only two shapes in this board, so A, B, B. So we've got A, B, B. We've got A, A, B, which means these two are the same. Okay. We could already also see that here. Whatever this is, A, B, A, A, A. So these are both A. And in this case, because we know there are exactly two regions here, and exactly two shapes here, the two A's have to be the same region. The two A shapes have to be the same region. Okay. Where does that leave us? I have no idea. Oh wait, no, I do have an idea, don't I? This can't be the 10-tile shape, can it? Right. We need to ask, how can this occupy a corner? Because we know it has to occupy a corner. So... Right, we know that this needs to fill the center of the board and occupy a corner. So it cannot be this. So it has to be this. So this has to be the case. So now this has to be this. There we go. Right, so actually that was a very important piece that I missed at the start, which is the way these two connect together means that the 6-tile shape has to occupy the center. I think if I had taken note of that from the start, this puzzle would have been much easier. Okay, here we're not told what shapes are possible, we're just told that these have to be different. So we know this has to be at least 2 tiles. And we know that whatever shape this ends up being has to be copied here. Well, it cannot be a 1-tile shape, so it has to connect to this. So now we need to turn somewhere, but this has to go like this. So now what can this be? Well, This cannot be a plus sign. I think if we do this, the puzzle breaks. I wanna say this is possible. I'm a bit confused. Hold on. So this is a 1x1. Neither of these can be a 1x1. This cannot be a 1x1, so it has to connect to this. And now this has to be at least 3 tiles long. And now both of these have to be at least 4 tiles long, because they don't match each other's shapes. So can this extend this way, or does it have to extend this way? If it extends this way, then I think the puzzle breaks, because now both have to be at least 5 tiles, and again, like this will never have that shape, and we cannot do this. So yeah, I think this cannot go down. Wait. 4. We have to extend to 5. 6. No, this was fine. There, I just needed this to be a 1x1. Okay. Yeah, I think I just made a mistake. I think I intended to try this solution earlier, but I just didn't set this as a 1x1. Okay, here we have 2 possibilities. We have a bunch of deltas and 2 possible shapes, so that means that we can do the A-B logic again. So A, B, A. Wait. Hold on. So we can, let's do X's and O's or something. No, I don't like that. I think so. We know these are connected, and then we know that this has to be a part of this. Now, can this be this shape still? I don't think so. Right? Yeah. It can't. There's no way to mirror or rotate this that would let it fit here in any way. So like, even if this was these 3, then we would still need to connect something to this, and this cannot connect to anything anymore. Like, it would have to proceed in this direction, or I'm struggling to see how this would look like if it was rotated. Yeah, would have these 2 colored in, which doesn't work. so this has to come out, and this has to join to this, and that's it. And so now this has to be this shape, and this has to be this shape again. So 3 tile shape and 5 tile shape. This has to be 5 tile shape, and this has to be 3 tile shape. But this comes out, and these don't necessarily need to connect, because this could go here. Now, is it bad if this goes up here, though? If this goes up here, and we know it's a 3 tile shape, then both of these have to be 5 tile shapes. Now, they could be the same 5 tile shape, but I don't think that works, because this also has to be a 5 tile shape. Okay, let's ask instead, how can this be a 5 tile shape? Well, we could do this, or this, but this doesn't work, so it has to be, I think, this. Those are the only 2 ways this can be a 5 tile shape, because it has to be the corner. This has to be one of the outermost pieces or tiles. Because the only way it can be an inner tile is if it does something like that, but then it can't complete the 5 tile shape. So it has to be like this, I believe. Okay. Now what's left here? 3, 6, 10. 10 tiles are left. How can we distribute 10 tiles across 5s and 3s? It can be 2 5s. In fact, we cannot have any 3s in here anymore, so all of these have to be 5s. So 2 5s. So it has to be like this, I think. Which means this is a 3, 3, 3, 3. All of these are 3 tilers. Which... So this is possible, or this is possible. This is possible. Okay, wait, maybe... Is this possible? Hang on, so what's left over here? 4, 4, 3 is 11 plus 3 is 14 plus 2 is 15. 15? And we know that we need at least 2 3 tiles to satisfy all 4 of these deltas. 2 instances of the 3 tile shape are the minimum that could satisfy these 4 deltas, or these 5 deltas. Right? Yeah, because we can't... Yeah, we cannot satisfy them with just 1 shape. So 2 is the minimum. So that means out of... Wait, let me just make sure it's 15. So it's 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Wait, what? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. I actually miscounted. 9 plus 2 is 11, plus 5 is 16. Okay, so it's 16 actually. So the 16 needs to have at least 2 instances of 3 somehow. Actually, I think it needs to at least 3, because this is not possible. Ah, but this is possible. Okay, so the 16 needs at least 2 instances of 3, which would leave... Ah, okay, so this actually already completes it. There. I don't know if I overcomplicated it, but whatever. So, 83% complete. So presumably these are the final puzzles then in the demo. Oh, there's like a bucket next to the board. Interesting. We cannot zoom in further. Ooh, new mechanic. Nice. Watchtower. Counts how many regions are touching the circle. I see. So these are one region. Oh, and it actually completes it. And now this already sees one region, it can only see one more, so these have to be the same, and then this has to happen. This needs two different regions, so this has to happen. And this... Oh, that's really interesting, I like this. Very nice. Precision. That's a new one. All regions must have an area of exactly 4. Okay. So this has to come out. All of these have to come... Wait. They have to come out, but in this case, because of the delta, they cannot connect. And the same is true here. Wait. Sorry, like this. And so now this cannot be like that because then the delta would be violated, so it has to be like this. Now this Gemini can be self-contained, I think. But does it have to be? It doesn't have to be, wait. Okay, wait, Gemini? I assume? Oh yeah. Sorry, it's not the Gemini, it's the line beneath the Gemini. That implies that these have to be 2 different regions. So these cannot connect. Okay. So what then? Right now I'm struggling to see how this puzzle is unique. Because as far as I can see, I could both... Oh wait, the delta. Oh, okay, the delta is what makes this puzzle unique, right? So yeah, this cannot go there, it has to go here because of the delta. And now this wants to be the same shape, so it does that like this. And then we just need to do that. Cool. Precision. 10. So this puzzle is 6 by 5, so 30. So we have 3. We already knew that there are only 3 regions. So the precision 10 only forces the 3 regions to be the same size. We already knew from the rose windows that there are only 3 regions. Okay, so this has to expand so that it can... Well, anyway, it had to expand so it can reach a blue tile or a blue symbol. I'm not sure that I see... I guess I have to think about this tile. So it has to connect to a red thingy. Can it connect to this, or is that more than 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so it cannot connect to this. So these two connect to different things. And so this I think cannot connect to this either. Because if it connected from here, this gets cut off. Yeah, no matter how we try to connect this to this. Unless we connect from here. No, but yeah, if I connect from this direction, we cut this off. You know, if I try to connect these two. And if I connect from this direction, this gets cut off. So this cannot connect to this due to distance, cannot connect to this due to cutting off one of the other reds. So therefore these two have to connect. And they cannot do so through here because then both of these get cut off, so they have to do it through here. Now there's no reason we can just be greedy and not cut off, like not take tile, like just take the tiles off the edge of the board. In fact, we have to do that because nobody else could collect those. So then this cannot collect this anymore, so it has to collect that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think the same logic applies here, that nobody else could collect those, so we have to. And so now these have to be blue. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. Another... Okay, so this region is just kind of teasing us about all the various puzzle mechanics that will be in the full game, which is cool. Non-boxy, no regions are rectangular. Okay. That's interesting. That's like a really... I don't know. Like a really powerful, or how should I say, very vague but powerful mechanic. Anyway. So we have 4 regions here. And none of them can be rectangular. So that means that, like for example, this has to come out obviously. And it cannot connect to this. None of these can connect, so these all have to come out. And so obviously this has to come further because it needs to collect a blue square, same is true here. Now obviously we cannot do this because this region will die, so it has to collect there. But right now it's rectangular, so we cannot do that. So it has to come here, it's still rectangular, so we have to come out here. And I think it makes sense to be... Wait, does it make sense to be greedy and lock this now? I'm not sure, but we don't need to anyway, because we can do this. It's rectangular, so we go there. This happens, this can't be, and this is now done. Okay. Ooh, this one unlocked. Let's continue solving these. Another mechanic. Polyominoes depicts the shape of its region. Okay, there we go. We are in the witness land. And Swampy Boots is back on the menu now. Because you... No, but... No, never mind. It's not back on the menu because in this game you have to connect the region. In the witness it was different because you had to outline the board, and when you're outlining the board you can actually... Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so it depicts the shape, but again, as we can see in the hint, the same rules about, or the same affordances about, like, rotation and reflection are still present. But this has to come out this way. This has to be like this. There we go. Okay, Rose, Windows, and Gemini. We have two regions, and they have to be separated here. So we can set two colors. Now both of these need to collect one of the roses, or one of the symbols. Now clearly whatever this is has to grab those, and the same is true here, and then they have to expand and expand. And they have to reach down here. Now, now clearly this has to be here. And this is where I would like to copy the color, but I can see that it will have to grab all of these. And then it can optionally pick this up, but it has to pick this up, so it actually has to grab all of this. And now I have to somehow visualize this whole thing, but I think what I can say is that they're like mirrored along this axis or something, but this is one tile down, so like here we turn and then go down 4, so that's like this, and then we go in, so that's like this. And then we can go in 2, and then we could just do this. There we go. All regions must be this shape. Okay, this shape is 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it's 9 tiles. And what is this board? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 horizontal. Right? Wait. Let's do it from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like a little delay in the sound effect. I need to write that down. Sound effect delay. Look, like when I do this, the sound effect has like a silent beginning or something. Either that or it's literally delayed. Anyway, it became really obvious when I was trying to count like this, and I was waiting for the sound effect, and it's like delayed. Anyway, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 multiplied by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a 9 by 9, which is 81, minus 2, sorry, minus 3, plus 3. So it's 81 tiles. Okay. Oh god, that sound effect as well. What is this? That's when I press restart. So loud. Just like this. Anyway. Okay, so 81 tiles made up from groups of 9. So there's 9 instances of this shape. Okay. Not sure that that helps us, but we can look at these areas. So this has to come out and it has to join this. Now, is it a certainty that it has to be this part of the shape? I think so. It cannot be this, right? I don't think so. So if it's this, then I have a little bit of a difficulty of mirroring things, but I think it means this. Is it like this? I think it's like that. Is that the only way though? Couldn't it be like... No, it couldn't. I think it literally has to be like this. This is supposed to be difficulty 2. I don't know, to me this is hard. I think I just don't find it easy to make these reflections and rotations in my mind. So what about this? Or maybe this? So like this has to be that, right? Yeah, it has to be, because it cannot be... If it's one of these, then the other would have to be on the same level. And that's not the case. So it has to be this, which means that there are 3 of the same. Like it has to be like that. And like this, right? No matter what rotation or reflection we have, this cross shape has to happen. And then at the end of the cross, again, regardless of rotations and reflections, this has to happen. So then the only question is whether we fill this in or this. And clearly we have to fill this in. So the same logic applies here, I think. We have to make the cross like this, and then again we have to fill it in here. And so then okay, here it doesn't repeat, because here we could make this. Here, again, we could make that, but wait, if we make that, do we not cut off too much? So we'd have to do this, right? And this doesn't work, I think. Okay, so then, if it has to be... I think this has to be... I think this has to happen. Does that happen here as well? Well, here, these have to be something, and then I think it has to be that as well, because if it's not, then... Yeah, I think this just has to be like this. And so then this now does this thing. Now this, I think, has to do this. Okay, now I'm just like doing it intuitively, but it worked out. Okay. New rule, inequality. The tip points toward the smaller region. That's interesting. So this is smaller than this, but it's larger than this. Wait, so this is smaller than this, which is smaller than this, which is smaller than this. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and in fact, we have 4 times 3 is 12 tiles at our disposal. If we did 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10. So that doesn't quite work out, but this can take the extra tiles. So is there any reason why we shouldn't just... Ah, I see, it's because of connectedness. So we could do 2, 3, 4... No, that doesn't work. 1, 3... That would make this 4. That doesn't work. So if we... Wait, but... Confused. Oh, wait. Sorry, I messed up. We can, in fact, do this. Sorry. My bad. This is fine. Okay, so we can actually just be greedy about it, which is what I initially wanted to be, but I accidentally confused myself into thinking that all regions have to be a part of the inequality regions, which is not true. Or sorry, all tiles on the board. But yeah. Alright, is that the final puzzle? 98%. So, does that mean there were like 50 puzzles in the demo? So if the demo has 50 puzzles and that's 5% of the total, then are there 1,000 puzzles in the full game? That's pretty cool. And are we looking at 1,000 puzzles here? Oh wow, okay, yeah, there's more. There's more world up there, so I guess we are, but also you can like hover these windows already. That's kind of weird. Yeah, look, the world continues in that direction, so yeah. Nice. Okay, look, we're getting real, like, more art here. That's kind of what I wanted. We're getting it. That's so beautiful. I love it. I really love this. Okay, final puzzle in the demo. Polyominoes and Gemini. That's interesting. So, let's see. Here we have 4 and 4. And we have 8 tiles to do it. We could do that, but we could also do this, so we don't know anything here. Let's look at this one. So this is 4 and 4, and we have... Wait, 5 plus 5. Okay, so this could be this or this, and we don't know which. How about this one? Could be that. It cannot be this or this. So it's either this or this. In both cases this happens. Okay. And still the Gemini could be either of these shapes, or could it be no, it's one of the Gemini will be one of these two shapes, because we couldn't do a 1x1 or something, because this would force that to be the 2x2, and 2x2 gets Gemini'd, and this forces the Tetris piece to get Gemini'd. So either way, one of these two shapes gets Gemini'd here, and both are possible. Okay. What about here? This looks like a mirrored version of this. Oh no, wait, it's not exactly the same. So that's possible. That's possible. Okay. What about this one? So this could be like that, or like this. Wait, did I miscalculate? Oh no, that was here. This was the region with 8 tiles and all tiles occupied by the polyominoes. But this one has 4 plus 5. So here one of the tiles is not part of the 2 polyominoes. I think this... yeah, so it could be anything. We could do that. We could do this. Is there a way to not Gemini either of these? I don't think so. Because this has to be one of these two, and then that forces one of the 2 polyominoes to get Gemini'd. So here, one of the polyominoes gets Gemini'd. Same here. Same here. How about these two? The only way we don't Gemini a polyomino is if first of all we do this, and then can the leftover shape be completed without getting Gemini'd? I think the answer is no. So given that, it means that in all the areas, a size 4 shape gets Gemini'd. And how many tiles do we have in the middle? 4, 4, 4. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 4, which is 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we have 5 Gemini. Okay. So this central region is made up of the 5 Gemini shapes from the 5 outer regions. Okay, what does that tell us? Well, I think it tells us that this cannot be this one. Because if it was, then it would either be this, which cuts a tile off, which doesn't work. Or, yeah, that's the only option. Because it can be like this. Yeah. Okay, so this cannot be getting Gemini'd. So this is not possible. And the only other way this shape can fulfill itself is like this. So that has to be the case. And so this has to get Gemini'd. So it can get Gemini'd like that, or it can get Gemini'd like this. If it gets Gemini'd like this, then this has to be this, which works. If it's this, then this, which also works. If this, then this has to be this, which doesn't work. So this cannot be like that. So it has to be like this, and this has to be like this, which means this has to get Gemini'd. Okay. Now what? So this can be this or this. Either way, this happens. So here this is still possible, and this is still possible. So we instead have to look at this. Only this can collect that. And so all 3 of these have to be the same thing. So this no longer can be like that. So this has to be like this. And so now this can only be like that. These are complete. And so this has to be like this, and it's complete. This now has to do that, so this has to be the case, and this, and this, and this. And that should be it. Done. Why did I have to color in these tiles in the end? I already did the region separation, didn't I? That was weird. Huh. That was strange. I'm pretty sure I did all the region separation, but the puzzle didn't complete until I actually colored in the... Anyway. Beautiful. Love this art. Okay. So that's the demo completed. Ooh. We didn't quite hit 5%, which means there's over 1,000 puzzles, according to this statistic. Oh, wait, I'm only assuming we did 50 puzzles in the demo, but maybe that's not true. But hey, we can, I guess, count using the windows. So here there were 10, here were there 10, that's 20. here there were 32. Okay, so that's 52 in the demo. And there's over there's over 20 times that in the full puzzle, or in the full game. So that, yeah, over 1,000. Okay, that was lovely. Really cool so far. Oh, what is this? What are these leaves? Nice. It's like the trees dancing, which is kind of funny. Because I don't think this looks like... It would have to be a very peculiar kind of wind, I guess, that causes a tree to dance like this. Anyway, that was lovely, and I'm looking forward to the full game. I really enjoy these types of puzzles. So yeah, that was the Artisan of Glimmith, and whoever Elias Vitimus is, maybe Elias Vitimus is the Artisan of Glimmith, or maybe we are, I don't know. At any rate, what did they tell us that we're doing here? They're telling us that we accepted their invitation to restore the artworks of Glimmith. So we are the artisan, and this place is Glimmith, I guess. As for who Elias Vitimus is, I have no clue. But is there a puzzle in there hidden? In here? Not that I see. Oh, this is some cool shadering. I like that. Nice. It doesn't let us see through the boat though. Like inside. Anyway. Yeah. Thank you for watching. And I'll leave a link to the game on Steam in the description below. Right now, this demo is free as of the 31st of December 2025. Or, well, I mean, usually demos are free anyway, but what I mean to say is that there is right now a free demo out for this game. So, if you want to give it a try yourself, feel free to do so. And I'll probably record my playthrough of the full game once it's out. So stay tuned for that if you are interested. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you another time. Take care.